Let's go over my plans for 3.29 in a couple of weeks that's coming up. First of all, this is with a new mic, so hopefully the audio sounds a lot better. And yeah, so let's get into it. I will be playing the same thing that I've been playing for the last couple of leagues. It's going to be Kinetic Blast of Clustering on Hyro. I played this build for, like I said, for about 3 or 4 leagues now. I have absolutely pushed this build to the limits. Um, It's the build that can do absolutely everything, and not at any stage does it feel like it's falling behind compared to the other builds. It might be a little bit slow for leveling, but there is a lot of ways around it, a lot of different setups that we can use. So I wanted to go over some of the gear that I had from, like, say, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, up till maybe a week or two, just to kind of give you the gist of how I like to push my characters. And just a quick warning, I play a lot, so a lot of this gear will not be obtainable for a lot of people in even week 1. So let's get into it. One last disclaimer, this is not going to change based on the patch notes. I doubt they're going to touch Kinetic Blast. I think Kinetic Blast is one of the skills that's going to be safe even for the patch notes that are coming up. So I will be starting this regardless of what the patch notes are. So before people say wait for patch notes, I know, but I'm going to be starting this build regardless because I know what to do. So after day 1, I was already level 92, pushing 93, but I played for probably about over 30 hours in day 1, I think it was. Um, a lot of people are not going to play that many hours. It's kind of stupid to play that many hours because you could easily get burnt out. For me, I played this build for I think maybe close to 20 to 30 days of in-game time. This build had several million kills on it by the time I stopped playing it. I went on to a different build. But after day 1, you can see the kind of gear that I had. We were already pushing almost 600 int, which is a lot for day 1. Day 1 slash day 2, whichever you kind of want to call it. And I was already using Kinetic Blast of Clustering. The reason that this build works so well early on is because you can get a Piscator, and that early on in the league is very cheap regardless. It starts off cheap, it ends cheap, unless there is some sort of change to it next patch. I don't know if there will. If there is, we'll work our way around it. But this weapon gives you so much damage that you really don't need any other weapon. As soon as you can equip this, and as soon as you can buy it, you should definitely go for it. And then other stuff, why this build is so good early on for Kinetic Blast of Clustering especially, is because we're going to be mana scaling. So another mana scaler as the one I played in POE 2 as well, and the league before this one. The reason it works so well with Hyro is you get so much from his ascendancy that gives you increased max mana, the power charges, endurance charges make you a bit tankier while you're leveling, and you get AoE as well based on mana early on, and Kinetic Blast of Clustering can overlap, and when it overlaps it does a lot of damage. So that's kind of the whole point, and plus you get damage based off your mana. That's how we're scaling a lot of our damage early on. So the type of gear that you want to look out for when you're making this build and when you're transitioning into maps after the campaign, it's going to be very generic gear. You obviously want to cap your resistances, and for boots especially you want move speed. Then intelligence and mana, if you can, are going to be the best in slot. You won't be able to get anywhere near perfect rolls day 1, day 2, day 3. That's kind of obvious. Anything that would do that will be kind of general around this type of gear is what you want to be aiming for. So again, on the gloves, it's the very same thing: intelligence, mana, any resistance that you can get. Same goes for the rings, and also if you're lacking any attribute, whether that be the strength or dex, or you shouldn't be lacking int anyway, you can get it on your rings or on your amulet. Just fill out those slots as much as you can with the stats that you need, whether that, like I said, resistances, attributes, any bit of damage that you can get would also be really good. And the reason you see a lot of increased elemental damage on my rings and on my amulet is because with the weapon, with the Piscators, you do not need any flat at all. You just need increased. If you do have flat, it's not the end of the world. Flat is still damage, regardless. So if you wanted to play this, just make sure that you're not crafting flat damage because it is a little bit of a waste. If you can craft percent, craft percent. This helmet early on is an absolute joke for how much damage it gives you. Yes, you lose mana once you attack, but we have absolutely no mana issues pretty much from as soon as we swap to Kinetic Blast. There is zero mana issues. This is basically free damage for us at pretty much all points of the league until you really swap out of it. And then for your shield, it's again going to be the same kind of stats that you're looking for: energy, shield, mana, resistance, attack speed if you can craft it. Brilliant. And the way you can level this early on instead of swapping before you swap. So say at the 3 hour mark, you would level this with as a caster. So you would level it with Rolling Magma into Firestorm, and then from Firestorm you can go into either Kinetic Fuselage or you can go into KB by itself. But the best way to level this is definitely going to be a caster, because you can pick up a lot of caster gear for during the campaign relatively easily, and it doesn't have to be anything great as long as it gets you some decent stats that increase your damage, help you survive. That's all you really need. And then once you're able to swap over to KB, I'd say probably towards the later half of the campaign, I would say probably mid 50s to 60s, you can probably swap. Before you swap to Kinetic Blast, before it becomes on the market, if you don't want to farm it from lab, you could just swap to Power Siphon. Power Siphon is more than good enough in the Ballista version. That's it. That's all you'd have to do is put down your Ballista, run around, and everything else will die for you. And then another good thing early on would be Eternal Blessing with Priority of Elements, just so you're ailment immune, a little bit of resistance to help you that you're missing it. That is really all the kind of rundown of the early part of the build. I don't expect people to have anywhere near this gear. Was this 12 hours into the league? But if you wanted something to follow on a baseline of gear, this is kind of what it would be. Again, it's just kind of general spell damage on spell damage because the spell damage scales with Power Siphon. So as you can see there, increasing and reduction to spell damage applied to attack damage. So that's why you have Deodri's Tenure, which is I think usually a couple of chaos day one. If you can get it, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. Normal gloves will do just fine. So after day 2, the gear is going to be very much similar to what we talked about before, except you want to try and get better versions. So again, you're kind of looking for the same stats for resistances, movement speed, Gladius, mana, just to help us survive. There is a lot of flexibility in pretty much all of this gear early on. The only thing that you kind of want to try get as soon as you can get it is going to be a 6-link, just to help you with your damage. I have no idea what the price 6-links are going to be on day 1 of the league or day 2. I assume they're going to be similar to what they usually are in previous leagues. We'll see what they are sitting at this time. There is other ways to scale your mana as well without just gear on mana. You can scale it from your jewels, so the 10% on each of these jewels helps you scale your damage quite a lot. It's quite a lot of mana. Of course, you are able to get a decent amount of jewels through the pathing that you're going to be taking. And then obviously Healthy Mind as well, a big massive mana increase. There is I'm not going to be talking about how to farm any of this gear, but or how to farm currency for this gear on day 2, because at day 2 I was already almost finished my Atlas. I was absolutely in absolute blaster mode, was not going to be slowing down at all. The kind of the jewels as well, or for the clusters, we again trying to get mana, as you can see from Scintillating Idea, to scale our damage, scale our lightning damage. One thing that is kind of important when you do switch over to Kinetic Blast, you do need a Spellslinger Tornado setup. But what this does is once you attack, the projectiles from Kinetic Blast come back and they overlap, creating the circles that you see, which ends up being a lot of our damage. It is kind of needed at this point to play the build because, you kind of really do need to set up, otherwise your damage and clear is going to feel really, really bad compared to if you had it. So once you swap over to KB, you definitely should get a Spellslinger Tornado setup. That's all it needs. It's just 2 links. It doesn't matter where it is. Boots, gloves, helmet, chest. Well, apart from chest, it doesn't matter where it is. That is really important to have that set up because that gives you a lot of just quality of life. And in terms of flasks, again, just trying to go fast. So movement speed, crit, a Jade, and a Series Promise, just give scale our damage, give us a bit of leech. There's one more day I wanted to go over just to show you guys the type of gear that you could expect from me to have on my characters. So day 4, yeah, no, not day 4, day 5. Yeah, day 5, I think this was at the end of day 4, started day 5, I was already on to my Mageblood. I was at over 13,500 energy shield, almost 10,000 mana. Atlas was long done at this point. I already had my multi-mod weapon. This I did more is just to show that this build can absolutely be played from day 1, from the first tower all the way towards the end of the league. I was also level 100 as well after day 4, day 5. Which is actually I think my quickest level 100 on a league start, day 3 or 4, so I wasn't too bad about it. Wasn't too mad about it. It was also I also only play solo, so no group play, no nothing like that. Not a fan of it. So all of this gear was done by me, all by solo. I had no help from anybody. Played a crazy amount of hours. Actually, there is one other day I will go over, so that will be I think week 7. Yeah, week 7, just to show you how much this build can scale. So at this point in the build, I had over 28,000 mana or 28,000 energy shield, and we were quite tanky. Our early hit was over 150k for each, which is quite nice. This level of gear is probably some of the most expensive gear that I've had that I've made myself during the league. This was incredibly expensive to make the boot simply because of the onslaught mod on the implicit and the Bristol Sockos, but these boots were just absolutely amazing to use. Absolutely loved them. Hopefully can make them again next league. These gloves are, I think, probably one of the best items I had all of last league. It's a 30% base with fractured perfect essence mana into all T1s that I would need on this character. Absolutely loved making these. This was a lot of fun. These gloves will never be replaced if you're able to get anything similar to this. It's 100% your best in slot. There's nothing that even comes close to it. In terms of your weapon, this weapon was made, again, by myself. It was made through recombinators. Got really lucky. The only thing that I really wanted on this was the spell damage per 16 int, because we were sitting at almost 2800 int at this point, which is very high. So you do want that spell damage per int because that gives you a lot of damage, obviously because you have so much intelligence. The rest of the stats are kind of generic. You don't really need anything else. These are just stats that help you out. So like your crit chance, your crit multi, your mana, your attack speed to make the build feel better. And then in terms of the rings, this ring I got stupidly lucky with. It's a 5 positive misted ring. So all the stats on it end up being positive, which was ridiculous to hit. I think I hit it, I think I only did 4 or 5 rings that had similar crafts like this, and we ended up hitting one of them that turned all positive. I was absolutely over the moon. The chest piece is a transfer mod from the Grasp of Males for the global defenses, just to absolutely scale the ES out of this world. I can make a video about how to craft all of this gear in a video during the league at some point. I won't be doing it anytime soon because I would like to do it in game and not on Craft of Exile. The amulet is the only thing I bought. I tried to make a lot of these, or quite a few of these. It's just getting the 3rd mod on this is an absolute pain. It's just so much easier to spend a couple hundred divines it is to buy it instead of making it yourself. I will probably do the same thing again. I don't fancy trying to make this because hitting the 3rd mod is just too much RNG for me to deal with. The helmet again is your best in slot. This isn't perfect. I think my intelligence is low, and I think my flash int is also low. I think they're both T2s, I think. But the rest of the mods are very simple to make. It's pretty deterministic to make it. Now, the only thing that is questionable or maybe debatable is the A Serious Reflection. I've used that for as long as I can remember in this build. It's just, what it gives you is just so nice. The curse immunity, a bunch of resistances, max ES, evasion, intelligence. It just gives you so much stats that are absolutely really hard to replace. Now, yes, you can replace your curse immunity on your flask, but then you have to drop one of the flask slots for it, and I just don't think that's worth it. So the flasks are again going to be very zoomer based. So you want your quicksilvers, you want your diamonds. You can swap out your jade flask for a silver flask if you wanted. The reason I kept it because we're sitting at almost 45,000 evasion, which is quite high considering we have no evasion gear. Bismuth is there just to help us cap our resistance because without it we would actually be undercapped for our cold and our lightning. which obviously is not ideal. Then the Dying Sun is just there to give us a bit more AoE and an extra 2 projectiles on our Kinetic Blast of Clustering. And then onto the jewels. The jewels are very, very expensive. So I don't expect anybody to have them early on. I myself won't have them for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, depending on how it goes. But they definitely add a lot of value to the build. I can go over the jewels more in depth. I don't think there's much point of going over them now because, like I said, this is definitely like a 1 month or 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the league type of thing, depending on their availability and on the price of them. So that's kind of my rundown of my plans for 3.29. I will be playing this. I will be starting it from day one. I will be playing again for over 30 hours on day one, more than likely, just to see how far I can make it. I expect to have much Atlas done day 2, late day 2, day 3 is usually kind of how I like to do it. So thanks for watching. I hope the audio quality was a lot better in this one than in the last video.